for sure. We decided to focus on the Heart Sutra to learn the aspect of Buddhist practice that investigates wisdom through emptiness. And it doesn't have to be Buddhist practice, but we'll make use of what the Buddha left us. Fans are blowing. Okay, good. Appreciate y'all coming out in the heat. The Heart Sutra is a concentrated dose of the Buddha's wisdom. And we're going to borrow that to give us some tools to understand the experience of the things that happen to the body and mind when we meditate. The tradition that I was taught from is a old tradition. It's been around on the planet for a long time. Men and women make use of it, and it's very traditional. It's not a tradition that you innovate much, because the form is very simple and essential. There's not much to change. But if someone who tries to innovate it or skip steps in the process of the practice of this kind of meditation, can get results they didn't expect. So I'm going to share the very traditional, very standard method of Chan meditation taught in the school. There are 5 particular Chan/Zen, same word, meditation schools. Ours is called the Weiyang School, WEI-YANG, Weiyang. And our teacher, Master Shenhua, was handed this method by his teacher, Master Empty Cloud, Master Shuyan. So Master Shuyan, Empty Cloud, is famous for revitalizing, renovating the 5 schools of Chan in China that had become scattered and some even lost. Nobody was practicing them anymore. He went to the places where the last traces of the 5 schools were found and brought them back to life, and then passed them on to individuals. Our teacher is known as the 9th generational ancestral teacher of the Weiyang School. So if anybody, for extra credit, anybody can tell me the names of the 5, the other 4? You don't count. Who knows? Sam's looking at his phone. I'd like to ask Wikipedia. Anybody know?
Anybody.
Who does?
Any.
你知道吗？你不知道，他不知道。So in Japan, anybody does Zazen? Any Zen sitters here? No. Okay. So in Japan, the ones that became the most famous were Soto and Rinzai, right? Soto School and Rinzai School. In China, that was the Cao Dongzong and the Linji Zong. And then there was the Fa Yan Zong and the Yun Men Zong and the Weiyang Zong. So we're Weiyang, which is the name of two mountains, Weishan, Yangshan. So that's two names. Fa, let's see, Cao Dong is named after a creek, the Cao Creek. Linji is a geographical name. Fayan, the Dharma Eye School, and the Cloud Gate School, and then the Weiyang School. Those are the five. Anyway, nobody gets extra credit. I'll give it to myself. So if you want to learn to meditate that way, here's the traditional way you do it in outline form. You do what's called, you recite protection mantras. First thing you do. The Chinese name for it is Li Tan Chang. You set up a mandala. You create a mandala, a place to meditate. Why? Why is that important? It's because if you're doing this traditional way of doing it, your essential spirit, whatever the soul, whatever the thing is inside this meditating, travels. And you're engaging in the spiritual realm, and that spiritual realm is real and alive and full of other beings who were there before you. And if you kind of wander into the realm of real meditation without these protection mantras, it's a little bit like playing in traffic. Not a bad analogy. You're risking your life. You could, wander onto Benogan Road and walk around, and it's not for sure that you're going to get clipped by a ute, but there's a chance. And so meditating without, and really doing it, committing yourself to practice without using these protection mantras is not advised, the traditional way of doing it. So you set up you recite a protection mantra, and there are different ways to do it. And Master Hua taught me one way, which I will pass on to you. There are three different forms of protection mantras that I have learned over the years, three different ways to do it. I'll give you the standard one. Then you recite a mantra, and the instructions for that mantra say, recite the long mantra, and then take a piece of it called the heart of that mantra and recite that 108 times. Then you're ready to launch into formless meditation. Okay, that's the method. That's the outline for the method. So it's like, whoa, that's a lot of work, and it's so complicated. It's very formula, meditation formula. And so I started after Master Hua taught this full method at City of 10,000 Buddhas in 1980, starting in 1980. And he also taught, other methods, but this was very consistent and had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's doable for all of us. So I would like, here we are in our meditation class, I would like to give everybody a sense of this first step, the preliminary, called the protection mantra. And I think it's not difficult, and it's certainly it's an option. You're welcome to pick it up. then we're going to, every week we meet, we're going to recite our Heart Sutra, both in Chinese and English. And so to get the sound of it in our ears and in our minds. And I really would be happy if people would pick up one of them and memorize it, either Chinese or English, potentially both. That would be great. So just an option for you all. Then I will go through line by line and talk about the incredibly crystallized, charged language of the Heart Sutra and how it's useful in meditation. Okay, so that's what I had in mind. Sam, have you got the mantras? Annie, how long are you going to be here? Yeah. Okay. Okay, what is this? Good grief. Turn over to this one. And you'll see what looks like an umbrella or an awning. What's that called in Australia? A brolly. That's England. That's not Australia. So this is, I thought it was like there's a special name. Anyway, canopy, umbrella, brolly, parasol. It's color. It's supposed to be white in color, and it appears in the Lotus Sutra, interestingly, but here it belongs to the body of literature in the Shurangama Sutra. We are in Shurangama Monastery. This is Lungyan Shangsi here. GCDR, its official name is Shurangama Monastery. Shurangama is a Sanskrit word. It means durable, ultimately durable, strong. Can't break it. And the mantra that I'm going to share with folks is from the Shurangama mantra. What Master Hua told us was first visualize this white canopy and you recite Moha Sadantor Bodola Toloni. Moha Sadantor Bodola Toloni Jo. You can recite that. These strange letters are from Siddham, Siddham. Siddham is a written system of Sanskrit. It's separate from Sanskrit. So if you show these to a Sanskritist, they're going to go, that's weird. I recognize Om. If you start with the left and go to the right, number 4, that's Om. Om, that one. So I'm not, personally, I myself pay no attention to the Sanskrit letters. I pay a lot of attention to the phonetics underneath, to the sounds. Because what Master Hua taught us, he said, if you're going to recite the Shurangama mantra and make it a real practice, he said, there are 3 ways to do it. He said, one is to build a platform. He said, withdraw $250,000 out of your bank account and buy a lot of sandalwood powder and some fragrant wood, and dig down in the ground, get rid of all impurities, 6 inches, fill it with sandalwood powder, and then build your. You can do that. he said, but who can afford that? Nobody. So he said, that's for kings or software engineers who strike it rich, go IPO. Otherwise, forget it. Don't worry about that. He said, there's a second way to establish a platform whereby you can recite the mantra, and that has to do with these mudras, the hand gestures. And then on the other side, and he said, I'm not going to teach you those. So it's like, oh, great. All right. You're teasing us, right? So just to know, these mudras are available, and if people want to study them, they're certainly legit. Not going to worry about it. Instead, what I want people to do is to learn, flip over the page, please. We contemplate the canopy, we recite the name here, and then we go Nan Vajra Toduwan, Nan Lanso He, Nan Yahong. 5 syllables, 4 syllables, 3 syllables. The hand mudras, don't need them. Can if you want. That's the third platform. It's done with sounds in the mind. That's the one that I do. So essentially, I contemplate the canopy, and in my mind, I say, Nan Vajra Toduwan, Nan Lan Sohe, Nan Yahong. Do it 3 times, or 5 times, or 7 times, depending on which you prefer. Minimum 3 times. That's setting up protection mantras. And what these do is they lock the body, the words, the actions your body do, the words your mouth speaks, and the thoughts in the mind. They're creating a boundary around them. So I go Nan Bajra Toduwan, Nan Lansoha, Nan Yahong. I do it 7 times. That's the start. Then the second thing that I do every time is the phonetics here. So I do 1, 2, and then the phonetics. Dojur Tuanan, Unali Pishati, Pila Bashalatoli, Panto Pantoni, Bashalabang Nipan, Hushin Dulu Yungpan Soha. This is what? This is the heart of the Shurangama mantra. Lengyan Zhou Xin in Chinese. It's the end of the Shurangama mantra. It's the last. The Shurangama mantra is Mahayana Buddhism's longest, biggest, most massive mantra. It takes, if you recite this speed, if you go, let's say you go Nammo Sarando Suchero Ye Allahuri Samya Sanduro Shin Nammo Sarando Foro Juru Shani Shin Nammo Sappa Bhutto Bodhi Saro Pivi Nammo Saro Nam Samyasam. 15 minutes to finish it. It's a 15-minute mantra, right? Pretty much. You do 15 when they do it up there?
That's probably about 10 minutes.
10 at that speed? That'll do 10? Okay. So when you get to the very end, you get to Dojur Tuanan, Unali Pishati, Pila Bashalatoli, Panto Pantoni, Bashalabang Nipan, Hushinduluyum Pansopoha. That's called the Lengyan Zhou Xin, the heart of the Shurangama mantra. That is for protection. So I do these things before I meditate every time. I contemplate the canopy. I recite the 3 Vajra Toduwan, Nan Lan Soha, Nan Yahong, and I go Dojur Tuanan, Unali Pishati. And I do this either 3 times, 7 times, 21 times, or I just keep reciting it until it's enough, right? At the City of 10,000 Buddhas, there was a time when Shifu said, okay, everybody, from now on, we're going to recite this 108 times at the end of the day as a group before we leave the Buddha hall. So it became a standard practice at CTDB that everybody in the Buddha hall recited and dedicated this to the protection of the country. So it was, Master Hua said, this is a patriotic act. As Buddhists, we're going to do our part to keep the country, keep the wheels on the highway. And so they recite and transfer this, the merit of this every time. So this is, what is this? This is big mantra stuff. This is mantra practice. People say, well, what does it have to do with meditation? Well, as I said, started out tonight, this afternoon, I said, this is tradition. This is how it's done for the last, 1,400 years minimum in the Chan halls of China, in the 5 schools. And it's not for everybody. Some people go, ooh, way too much. I'm not interested in all this stuff. Other people go, I've been looking for that. This is what I wanted, right? So I'm just putting it out there. This is not secret information. These pages are copied from a book, which is no longer in print, and you really cannot find it, and you can't buy it. But does that look familiar? That's where this is from. And there's Shifu makes a commentary in here, but these are the essentials of this. These 2 pages are the essential information. So that's what I do, and I find that I like to do this because what you don't want to do is have doubts running around your mind when you meditate. And when I recite the mantras, I feel confident that I've set my mind in a good place, a safe place, so that whatever the result of my meditation is for that day, less stuff will go wrong. Not that I'm expecting anything to go wrong, but as I've said before, my meditation is different every single time I sit. I never know what to expect. It's always different. And when I recite these mantras, I feel like I'm in a tradition and I'm not out there all alone. People are funny about their minds, There's a place called the Aspen Institute in Aspen, Colorado. The Aspen Institute is a think tank, and I got a graduate fellowship from the Danforth Foundation. And one of my jobs as a Danforth Fellow was to go to the Aspen Institute and be kind of the angry young man on campus for the summer. This is 1972. And I took part in all the various Aspen seminars that they changed every week. And there was one called the Asian Thought Seminar, led by Professor Du Weiming. And I was in there as a graduate student of Chinese Buddhism from Berkeley. And so Professor Du asked me to, and I had been to Japan. I'd lived in a Zen temple already 3 years earlier. So Professor Du asked me to share my story of living in the Zen temple. And in this seminar for this week, we had a lot of influential and high-powered individuals, including Audrey Topping. And Audrey Topping was the daughter of Chester Ronning, who was Canada's ambassador to the UN. Her husband was Seymour Topping, who was a managing editor of the New York Times. So here's Audrey, and Audrey was a diplomat. She's Canadian. She'd lived in 12, 13 countries around the world. And Audrey was no fool. She was heavy duty character. And when you talked to her, you made sense, or she moved on. You know, she had no time for you. And you couldn't find a more cosmopolitan, educated, diplomatic individual. And so Professor Du says, he says, Mr. Clowery, he says, please explain meditation to our Zen meditation. And so Audrey Topping says, I don't think I want to know about that. What can you possibly gain by poking around inside your own mind? She said, I think I'll sit this one out. And she stood up and left. And it was like, everybody's like, whoa, whoa, you know. And here's this sophisticated, elegant, intelligent woman who was afraid of poking around inside her mind. I couldn't imagine that anybody could find something wrong with that, but she did. I went and talked to her later. Said, I hope I didn't offend you. And she said, no, I'm not interested in that. You know. She was a Christian and a devout, believer. She didn't want to touch her mind. And it's like, okay, if you have that intuition, don't push it. Better off, if you don't want to, you're afraid of what's behind that door. Don't ask why. Here we go. Can you say non-vajra? Non-vajra. Toduwan. Non-vajra. Non-vajra. Toduwan. Non-vajra toduwan. Non-vajra toduwan. Okay, is that body? One, I don't see any problem there. Nan, lan, so, that the SWO, you saw, your mouth opens wider for the O, so, like that. Not so, so. And then he, that's a soft E. It's not he, it's he. Okay, nan, lan. The vowels in Chinese by and large are soft vowels. So not eh, but ah. Not E, but he, right? Okay, number 3, ready? Nan ya hong. 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 Does the Shifu identify which is which? Let's see here. He says, first recite the true words of the Dharma realm, next recite the true words of purification, then recite the true words of the 3 platforms. Okay. So I'll read you how Master Hua explained these 3 mantras. He said, as an alternative to the mudras, which he didn't teach to us, he explained them and then said, I'm not recommending you do these. He said, you don't need them and you're not going to remember them. He said, use the 3 mantras of the secret school. Reciting these, you'll be able to establish a platform. First, recite the true words of the Dharma realm. Nan, Vajra, Toduwan. Next, recite the true words of purification, Nan Lan Soha. Last, recite the true words of the three platforms, Nan Ya Hong. These three platforms are the Buddha platform, the Dharma platform, and the Sangha platform, the place where you recite, where you meditate. That's what the platform is. This mantra is recited in the ceremony for liberating lone or homeless spirits and demons. Oh, this is these are used in the Fang Yanko also. People know the liberating ghosts whose mouths are aflame. Nan represents, or Om represents Vairochana atop the crown of the head. That's the Buddha platform. Ya is Amitabha Buddha. Hong is Akshobhya, medicine Buddha. Let's see. Once you recite these mantras, the three platforms are in accord. So another good method is to recite the three mantras prior to reciting the Shurangama mantra. The first one is purifying the Dharma realm, true words. It clears up the Dharma realm. Nan-bajala Toda one. You recite it 7 times. 7. The second is Nan-lan Soha, recite it 7 times. The third is Nan-ya-hong. You also recite this 7 times. When you recite these 3 mantras 7 times each, there's an interaction of the 3 secret platforms. Okay, so this is Jin Fusher's copy. I don't have my copies. This is the only one. You can't have it. Sorry. We'll fight you off. And they're not available for sale either. Master Hua published them and then took them all back. He said, I don't want people knowing this stuff. People go crazy. So he said these are the prelude for reciting the Shurangama mantra, these 3. What I'm sharing with everybody is this is in the book about the Shurangama mantra, but it doubles as protection mantras for meditation. That's the point. And the what Master Hua instructs for people who want to do the Shurangama mantra, he says, you contemplate the canopy, you make these mudras, then you recite the Shurangama mantra through 1 time, from Namo Saranto Suche Doya Ulahudi all the way to Pila Bashalato Li, Panto Panto Ni, Bashalabam Sopo He. Then you recite this 108 times, he says. That's the method. If you want to recite the Shurangama mantra according to the method, that's what you do. You set up the platform, you recite the mantra through 1 time, which takes 10 minutes at that speed, 15 minutes if you go slower. And then you do 108 of these. And I just, as I was sitting here just now before we started, I did that. And reciting in my mind the Shurangama mantra with 108 mantra hearts, Doja Toanan, all the way down. It took about probably 10 or 12 minutes total. So you can knock off 108 of these pretty quickly, right? So under 10 seconds you can do 1. If you go fast, you don't have to go fast. That is the method for the Shurangama mantra. That's not what I'm recommending that we do for regular meditation. I'm just saying, should you want to pick up the Shurangama mantra, that's where Shifu taught it. It doubles for our meditation. Again, this is an option for you all. This is a traditional way of preparing to meditate. And what it does is it takes away it reduces the opportunity for scattered random thinking in the mind. I find that when I do this, my mind is clearer than usual. And it's, I know that anything that arises in the 15, 30, 45, 1 hour, 90 minutes that's going to follow as I'm sitting there, anything going on in my mind is not a problem from outside, whatever. This is a solid, reliable, ancient, traditional way to set the mind up for meditation. Okay, now flip over to this side. We're going to try the mantra heart. And to let me orient, it looks like a lot of funny sounds. When it's on the printed page, it's not so long. Let me show you the, here's the mantra without the Sanskrit or the Siddham, right? It's just that, just those syllables. Dojur Tonan, Unali, Pishati, Pila Bashala Toli, Panto Pantoni, Bashalabang Nipan, Ushindulu Yonghan, Sopoho. Now, that's what you've got in front of you on your page. So let's, to give you kind of a breakdown so you can, it's even smaller chunks. Dojur Tonan, that phrase, Dojur Tonan, those first 4 syllables are in Sanskrit, Tadyata Om, which says the mantra runs like this. So way, Dojur Tonan is Tadyata. Tadyata comes up in our Heart Sutra. Our Heart Sutra has Dojur Tonan, Tadyata. It goes like this, is what Tadyata means. Om is the actual first syllable of the new information. This is saying it goes like this, colon. Om Unali Pishati. Those 2 phrases, Unali and Pishati. Master Hua says those are the important syllables in the mantra heart. He says one completely establishes stability and puts a barrier around things horizontally, far out beyond this space. And the other one does the same thing vertically for a great distance. I'll read you what he says. So I'm just identifying some of the pieces of this mantra heart. He says, this from Dajurto all the way to Sopoha, this forms the platform of syllables of the mantra. The heart of the mantra is ineffably wonderful. If no one in the world is able to recite the Shurangama mantra, the hordes of demons and weird beings will appear and make trouble. Because there are people who are able to recite the Shurangama mantra, especially the heart of the mantra, the troublemakers run away. Within the heart of the mantra, the 2 lines, Unali Pishati, are extremely powerful. One line extends vertically, the other horizontally. The vertical one goes beyond the triple realm, desire, form, and formless. The horizontal one pervades 10 directions. When those 2 lines are recited, the demons of the heavens and the externalists have no place to run. They get ruling. So the power of those 2 lines alone is inconceivable, he says. So that's how a mantra master talks about these mantras. And that may be a strong dose of shamanism for some folks, but that's where you're looking at a tradition that's ancient. It's been around, surviving for thousands of years. And it has its own realm. We're dipping a toe in and just kind of peeking, kind of pulling the curtain, looking in, and saying that there is value in borrowing from this tradition for our meditation. So, tadyata, dojur to nan, unali pishati. We've already got 3 pieces. We got tadyata, that is to say, om, piece 2, unali pishati, the 2 power phrases from the heart of the mantra. So that's another chunk. Go down to the bottom, so po he. That's svaha. Every mantra, with exception. Many Buddhist mantras begin with om and finish with svaha. Nan sopoha. Svaha is, it's in the Bible, it would be hallelujah. It's everything is accomplished and good. Well done. Congratulations. Success. That's svaha. Everything is auspicious. So we've already taken 3 bites off the top and 1 off the bottom. So this is the way that I approach learning mantras. Otherwise, the sounds are meaningless to when we touch them for the first time, and they're really hard to memorize. So people who know Hanyu Pinyin, if you want to rewrite it in your own Hanyu Pinyin, go ahead. This is Yale romanization. It's non-standard. Nobody uses Yale romanization anymore. It was invented by Yale University for the use of Americans in World War II, because Wei-Giles didn't work at the time. That was the British system, and people didn't learn Chinese characters much. So they invented their own romanization system and pretty much stopped using it after the war. But when we published this book, that was the system that people had available. Hanyu Pinyin had not come into popularity. Now it is. So if you don't know what I'm saying, don't worry about it. This is fine. It's as I say, that's a story for another time. Nonetheless, those of you who want the pinyin and this doesn't do it for you, rewrite it, retranscribe it. Okay, I'm gonna give you these sounds and you can recite them after me. Here we go. Dojur to, nan, unali, pishati, pila bashala to li, panto ni, bashala bang nipan, hushin dulu yung pan, sopoha. Okay, that's it. Let's do it again. Dojur to nan, unali pishati, pila bashala to li, panto ni, bashala bang nipan, sopoha. Okay, so far so good. One more time. Ready? Here we go. Dojur to nan, unali pishati, pila bashala to li, panto ni, bashala bang nipan, hushin dulu yumpan, sopoha. Okay, review. What I do when I meditate, I cross my legs, I visualize the canopy over my head, and I go nan bajalan toduan nanya hong I do it silently in my mind, usually 7 times. It takes less than a minute to do all this, and from there I launch into either counting my breath, or I switch to the Great Compassion Mantra, or whatever method I'm using at the time, which could be a number of different meditation methods. But I always do that. And for those of us who are going to be studying and applying the Heart Sutra and Prajna Paramita, it can't hurt. Can't hurt. And it's something you can say, yes, I have been exposed to a traditional way of practicing Chan meditation. Okay, so up to you whether or not you pick this up, and certainly I'm totally available for questions or comments. Anybody got one? Want to? What is unclear about this, or what is clear about it? Maybe it's all unclear. Yeah, Annie.
I've got a quick question for this page. There's 3 lines of this mantra. When we recite them, you mentioned we recite them 7 times. We do it 3 lines together, count 1 time, or we do it 7 times each line?
You can do it either way. Doesn't matter. I do 7 of each.
Each line.
Vajra Toda 1, 7 times. But if you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 7 times, it's the same. They're separate, they're individual, but you can do them as a set. Yeah, I think that's legit. Hi Yona, anybody comments or questions?
I was wondering, how do you know where the punctuation is? I guess like the English language will have comments, like how do we know when to stop? Was it sort of like in one line?
You mean here?
Yes.
So one way to do it, do you have a pencil? It didn't come in the book. It was not punctuated because I think it's almost one breath. More important than grammar is the organic breathing. So let's see. If I go, I'm doing it in my mind. So Dodger Tonan, I think of it as a wheel, as a circle. So there's no punctuation in a circle. You know, it's kind of like I'm not breathing, I'm not enunciating. So there's no sound coming out. So I can, in my mind, I go, and I'm not moving my lips either. So it's much, if you think of it as almost like a spin, like nobody has a hi-fi. Anybody have a hi-fi stereo with a needle and an arm? End up all the time. There we go.
The dinosaurs.
We used to all go, of course we have, I have an old library of 33 1/3 LPs. So think of it as a platter spinning. What would it be? If you have a microwave, think of your microwave. Okay, that makes sense? Colette, did you ever hand it?
I didn't, but I'll ask. Is it enough to just do that for protection, or do you have to do all of it?
So I do these 3, then I do that.
But would it be enough to just do those first
Can.
3? And
Definitely can.
Protection?
Sure, can, yeah. And there are people, I mean, these are Chinese sounds. This is, in linguistically speaking, you're looking at sinus-sized Sanskrit, Chinese version of Sanskrit sounds, which is esoteric, right? That's strange. So it's not for everybody. This is what Master Hua gave us, and he learned it in the mid 20th century. It had been alive in China and in people's minds and mouths since the 9th century or maybe earlier. So it's been around a long time. This has been this practice. These sounds have been grooved in people's minds for a very long time, and as such, they get a kind of a resonance. This is the first thing that I do before I meditate. Now, as I say, folks are welcome to make of this what you will. If it's attractive to you and it works, maybe it won't work the first 10 times you do it. Maybe it'll kind of immediately respond. In any case, we're going to push on next week. we're going to look at the title of the Vajra Sutra, Namo Vajra Assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. We do that 3 times. So I want to let's see, Sam, could we pass them out and we'll recite it quickly and then pick them up again? We're going to go directly into the sutra. Nice. Aren't these nifty? Okay, Chinese. And we can actually do it with see the romanization on the top of those characters. We're going to recite that 3 times. Next, we're going to go Boro Bolo Mido Shinjing. Then we're going to go Guanzi Dai Pusa right there. Okay, so we'll do the Chinese. Now, here we go. Namo Bore Vesha Pusa. Namo Bore Vesha Pusa. Namo Bore Vesha Pusa. Okay, that is the Chinese 1 time. Notice everything I said about mantras is not here. It doesn't say tadyata, and it doesn't say om, and it doesn't say, it does say sopaho at the end. So, exceptions. Okay, ready, English. Flipping over, here we go. Homage to the Prajna Assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as vast as the sea. Homage to the Prajna Assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as vast as the sea. Homage to the Prajna Assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as vast as the sea. The heart of Prajna Paramita Sutra. When Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara was practicing the profound Prajna Paramita, she illuminated the 5 skandhas and saw that they are all empty, and she crossed beyond all suffering and difficulty. Shariputra, form does not differ from emptiness. Emptiness does not differ from form. Form itself is emptiness. Emptiness itself is form. So too are feeling, cognition, formation, and consciousness. Shariputra, all dharmas are empty of characteristics. They are not produced, not destroyed, not defiled, not pure, and they neither increase nor diminish. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, feeling, cognition, formation, or consciousness. No eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, or mind. No sights, sounds, smells, tastes, object of touch, or dharmas. No field of the eyes, up to and including no field of mind consciousness. And no ignorance or ending of ignorance, up to and including no old age and death, or ending of old age and death. There is no suffering, no accumulating, no extinction, and no way, and no understanding, and no attaining. Because nothing is attained, the Bodhisattva, through reliance on Prajna Paramita, is unimpeded in her mind. Because there is no impediment, she is not afraid, and she leaves distorted dream thinking far behind. Ultimately, nirvana. All Buddhas of the 3 periods of time attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi through reliance on Prajna Paramita. Therefore know that Prajna Paramita is a great spiritual mantra, a great bright mantra, a supreme mantra, an unequaled mantra. It can remove all suffering. It is genuine and not false. That is why the mantra of Prajna Paramita was spoken, recited like this. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi swaha. And then we would say, end of the heart of Prajna Paramita Sutra. Okay, there it is, beautifully laminated, ready to go. Let's pass them back in. Keep these? Okay, good. Yeah, take these home for homework. Alrighty, we're good. Much more to come. There's a lot for people who are interested in scholarship. There is a lot of research on the Heart Sutra available in English out there. Scholars pick it up because it's short. It's really short. And it's also compelling because it's full of know this, know that, know this, know that. It just rips right through conscious mind and the 6 senses and says, don't take any of this as permanent or real. It's so compelling that Buddhism became known as the teaching of emptiness in China, Kongman. So, okay, good stuff. Yeah, here we go. We'll get that together. And this is done interactively. We want folks to make a wish with your, where do you want to send your merit? By the way, Dharma Buddhist University is, oh shoot, is it, do you know what time that is? Doug and the quantum, what time is it? 10:30 tonight.
Tomorrow morning. Oh, sorry, Monday morning.
Monday morning, okay. It's 10:30 Monday morning. Professor Doug Powers is going to be in dialogue with a man named Bogdan Staszewski. Bogdan lives in Ireland. He's a Polish native. Bogdan is one of the world's experts these days on quantum physics. He really knows his stuff. Bogdan used to be one of the directors at Texas Instruments back when pocket calculators were hot. Remember, that was early technology. Bogdan lived in Texas and helped put those together. He then went to move to Dublin, Ireland, where he lives now with his wife. And he is one of those guys who just understands quantum computing. He quantum mechanics. So if anybody wants their brain stretched, 10:30 on Monday. And do we know, how do we find it? It's a
on
Zoom.
YouTube. It's live on YouTube.
Live on YouTube. Dharma Realm Buddhist University, DRBU.
Do you need to register?
I think it asks you to register, but you can actually just go straight to YouTube. Register just helps you to go to the YouTube page. Go to the Berkeley Monastery page in the Oregon Forest.
Berkeley Monastery. Yeah, go to berkeleymonastery.org. That's right, that's where it is. Anybody listening to my lecture tomorrow afternoon, I'll be showing you where that is. Okay, let's dedicate the merit. May every living being harmonize as one and radiant with light, sharing the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, humanity, and love. If people hear and see